Good morning, GM, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. Welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. This is episode 193. Today is Wednesday, September 4th, 2024. Folks, it is another beautiful day here in Chicago. The sun is shining at 70 degrees, just absolutely beautiful out here right now. And I can say it is a healthy distraction from wrecked timber. Stocks losing $1 trillion in market cap yesterday. Nvidia now facing an antitrust suit. Potential crypto majors falling hard. We are here today to help you cope and break it all down. No Farokh, he is still gallivanting around the Asia Pacific. I think Mando will join us here in a bit, but I've got my co-host Logan Hitchcock, our editor-in-chief over Trader. He's been following this.
Oh boy.
How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. Sorry, I lost you there for a second. Doing well. Weather is nice here as well. Nice distraction, as you mentioned, from a market that you don't really want to pay attention to, at least the price tickers. You do not want to be paying attention to it at present time.
Yeah, I am with you there. So let's get right into it. What are we going to talk about on today's show, folks? We're going to start with a quick market report. I'll do my best Mando impression. Wreck Timber is here. We've got meme coin majors very red. The FBI warning that North Korea is in aggressive pursuits against the crypto industry. Not great. Some wild new details from the Trump crypto project World Liberty Fi. We'll get into that. We got a busy day of protocol news and updates. Jenkins the valet calling it quits. Rock Toshi apparently is the co-founder of Ordinals. The market didn't care at all. We'll break all that down and more. Plus, folks, we've got our Rollbit spins today with a brand new spinner and a brand new process. So, folks, once again, to be eligible, you will need to retweet the spaces and follow the hosts as always, but new actions. So starting today, you will need to go to rafflebot.xyz, sign in with your X credentials, and then enter the code for today. That code is Rollbit45. So once again, you'll need to go to rafflebot.xyz, sign in with your X credentials, and enter today's code. It'll be flashing on the screen. We're hoping this new process helps us avoid some of the bots, which do creep in from time to time. We are excited for this new process. Folks, we're also excited for our new partner, Galaxis. So Galaxis is a no-code Web3 platform that empowers creators and communities to become owners. Check them out at GalaxisXYZ on X or Twitter. We are very excited to have them on board. All right. Well, with that, I think that is our open. Let's just get right into our market report. And I'll do my best to fill in for Mando here this morning. Let's start with taking a look at the crypto board. I'll get the screen share pulled up for us here. So Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, all down about 4 to 5% on the day. Bitcoin 56,700. We got ETH at 2,400. Solana 128. It's seemingly on the back of a very rough day in stocks. So the stock market lost about $1 trillion in value yesterday. And then we got some negative news after market close yesterday. So Nvidia, it just got a DOJ subpoena and an antitrust investigation. It seems like the antitrust officials are concerned that Nvidia is making it harder to switch to other suppliers and penalize buyers that don't exclusively use its chips. So Nvidia was down quite a bit on the day yesterday. It looks like they're coming back here a bit. And they were at 127 before earnings just a week ago. Now back at 107. I think it hit 104 or so at peak. Lost something like $300 billion in market cap. So I think the drawdown in Nvidia impacting the broader tech sector and leading stocks, and that seems to be bleeding into crypto a bit as well. It doesn't help that open interest in Bitcoin is at levels not seen since January of 2023. On top of that, we've got search levels. I think Mando mentioned this on yesterday's show. Bitcoin search levels back to where they were 11 months ago when Bitcoin was 27K. So it feels like we are just kind of fully resetting at this point. If you look at the fear and greed index, we're at 34, squarely in the fear portion of that spectrum right now. But perhaps, one ray of hope from Scottie Pippen, of all actors here. And Mando retweeted this yesterday. So this is from the Scottie Pippen X account. Satoshi Nakamoto visited me in my dream last night and predicted that Bitcoin would be at $84,650 on November 5th, 2024. Not financial advice. We are very helpful. Very happy that he disclosed at the end that was NFA. Logie, any reactions to the market move or this wild tweet here from the Scottie Pippen account?
Well, he must have gotten some counsel, because I think this is the first time he's included the NFA tag, right? Not the first crypto tweet from Scottie Pippen, but the first time I've seen at least the NFA be so front and center. So kudos to Scottie and team for wisening up there to a degree. I know this is maybe not a serious tweet, but at least in terms of the price action expectations, we've been talking on the show, macro conditions, that would kind of fall in line with chop until election stuff, right? So why not pin this up on your wall and revisit come November 5th to see, should Scottie actually have been visited by Satoshi Nakamoto. In terms of, the other stuff, not too much to say outside of what you shared. Of course, Nvidia being the bell cow for the bellwether, bell cow, whatever you want to call it, for this entire risk market. So not surprising to see fears around that leading to pretty drastic sell-off in risk assets. Wish it were the case, but like you said, use the weather as a distraction. Anything is a distraction to look at the price at this point in time.
Yeah, the chart doesn't look great. It feels like a red September. The prophecy is fulfilling itself. At least 4 days into the month, perhaps FOMC will impact that. On that note, I keep coming back to this. I tweeted yesterday, I think it's the most important line in the prediction markets, the Fed interest rates. And hey, we got a bump. Wow, we are up to 36% chance, folks, on that 50 bips cut. That is a massive upswing. Let's see where this is at. So just this is actually breaking news for me, folks, hence my reaction. Let's look at the 5-day chart.
That's because I bought some, Tyler. I bought some of those yes shares to push it up. So
all right. So this is up something like, and it's basically up 100% on the day. So a massive move in this. Now up to a 37% shot. Perhaps a whale just came in. So I'm seeing buying. Yes. Okay. So there's like no liquidity at this number even. So we'll have to wait for the market makers to fill this one in. But that's been a huge move. I think the other interesting poly market line, perhaps we'll come back to this in a second, is will Trump launch a coin before the election? And we got some news yesterday that sent that market into a frenzy. Before we get there, Mando, on stage with us now. GM, how you doing?
Sorry I was late. Great. How you guys doing?
Not bad. I did my best impression, kind of walking us through the market. Basically, curious if you have a read. My general take was with majors down 4%, it was largely following stocks.
Yeah.
You talked about the Google trends and open interest at yearly plus lows right now. Anything else jumping out to you from a macro perspective?
I think the yen carry trade, the BOJ was talking about raising rates again, which got people a little bit scared. And then obviously the Nvidia news / the stock sell-off were like the major things. I don't know. It feels kind of like it's felt for a while, like it just feels as though there's not a lot of activity. We're kind of trading on the hope of future activity. Bitcoin is kind of got the strongest narrative right now. And, but given the talk about the yen carry trade again unwinding, I just think it took a little bit of it went a little bit south and just people being a bit wary about September. I do think that this sort of range isn't a terrible range. Like funding's gone negative again. We've wiped out, I think, $1 billion of open interest in that move lower down to 56K. We've generally been on this trend of lower highs and lower lows since kind of February or March, let's say. But So I think some people are thinking that we're going to touch like 48K this month, like have a bit of more of a dip. And then hopefully we have a very strong October. So I think the consensus is that we're going to go lower in September and higher in October. I don't know if that's like, everyone believes that too much. Like sometimes when it's so consensus about something, it can be dangerous. I don't know what's the more dangerous thing to be consensus about, that we're going to go lower in September or that we're going to go higher in October. But yeah, it definitely feels like that's the general narrative out there right now.
It does. It really feels that way. Stock market going down so much, certainly not helping to kickstart the month. But I feel like if there's one rule in crypto, it's not following the consensus trades is usually smart. So we will certainly see the big headline, folks. We kind of got there a little bit, but will Trump launch a coin before the election? That's up to 38% chance from just 24% the day before, and that's because an eye-popping new article came out. CoinDesk broke the news on this one. So apparently the Trump family crypto project, World Liberty Financial, a white paper.
Oh, is he gone?
I lost him too.
Classic.
He's still live in the space. It's okay. You guys can just keep talking together though while he joins back.
I mean, he comes back intermittently. I don't even know what we're going to do about this. We need to get him Starlink. Does he want to leave and come back? What do you think?
Our DeFi hack and former pickup artist. All right, looks like I'm back. Apologies to folks in the stream for the internet issues. I think we are back up now. So I'm gonna get right into the summary of this Trump crypto project and the new details. So for starters, the protocol, it looks to be a crypto borrowing and lending service similar to Do Finance and will include a token WLFI. It's built on Ethereum and its DeFi platform Aave. The project looks to include a credit account system, while other aspects of the white paper describe it more as a crypto brokerage service. But here are some of the more interesting details. So it's built by 4 team members from Do Finance, which was recently hacked for $2 million. Early GitHub shows code directly lifted from Do Finance. Barron Trump, identified as the project's DeFi visionary, 18-year-old Barron Trump. Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. are listed as Web3 ambassadors. An LLC for the project is registered to Zachary Folkman, who is the head of operations for the project. He's also the co-creator of Subify, which is a censorship-free competitor to Patreon and OnlyFans. And then on the token news, it does include a non-transferable governance token, WLFI. And interestingly, for those who've been following Gabriel Shapiro's law firm Metal X Pro is on board as legal counsel and also receiving 1.3% of the WLFI tokens. So quite the article, bombshell from CoinDesk, I'd say. Logie, maybe I'll toss it to you first. What's the wildest part of this story? Like how are you feeling now? We've had a day to digest this.
Oh man, the wildest part. I don't even know. We had talked time and time again about if it made sense for Trump family to be rushing out some sort of crypto project, having, all those rumors, the scandals with the meme coins before. The wildest part might just be the collaborators here. A team that just had a source code hack or a hack from Do Finance. I mean, given the what they're capable of attaching themselves to, the connections that this family has, you would think if they were going to run something out here, they would do the utmost due diligence to run out something very highly reputable, high quality, and no knock at Do Finance. I don't know a whole lot about the hack or anything, but it seems like maybe they haven't done that here, and perhaps that's not surprising, but that seems like the just the most wild part to me. Aside from, if you scroll to the very top here, there's an interesting tidbit in the lead about the one also founded Date Hotter Girls LLC. Maybe that's the most surprising as well.
Indeed. Mando, curious if you had any reactions to this one, or were you familiar with Doe Finance? I was not super familiar with that protocol.
No, brother, I'd never heard of it. I don't know. Sounds like a standard Web3 team coming together, if you ask me. Doe Finance and Date Hotter Girls LLC. Just kind of feels like Web3 written all over it. I think people have big expectations, or maybe they don't. I don't even know, but I don't think this is going to be like a world beater. It feels like it's going to be some form of DeFi borrowing lending platform. I'd heard initially that it was to do with the property that they have in the the Trump real estate empire, let's say. So maybe it'll be linked back to that in some way. But yeah, I think this is more for show more than anything. I don't think this is going to be anything crazy. I don't think it will, by the way. I think it will come from one of the family.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to come from Donald Trump. So that's what makes this bet so interesting. It says, will Trump launch a coin before the election? The odds shot up from 24% all the way to 67% yesterday, settling now back at 40. The terms on this one will resolve to yes if conclusive definitive evidence emerges that Donald Trump was involved in the deployment of a new token by November 4th. I mean, he's involved in World Liberty Fi. So I believe that if World Liberty Fi launches a token before November 4th, this resolves to yes. So I mean, what are our thoughts? Do you think they're going to launch this thing?
Yeah, I think so.
The election?
I think so. I thought they were going to do it. I that was my guess. I don't know why they do it after the election.
Logie, what are your thoughts? Are you ready to go long on this one? Sorry, man.
Wow, right? They'd said when the other meme coin happened, like it's coming. Like, were they going to wait till November? Maybe.
Are they doing the classic like hype machine run up, or are they going to wait? But the reality is, the tension is at its peak right now. I feel like it's such a risk. It's a risk that they could easily avoid. Like the downside outweighs the upside. I guess the only upside is how profitable this would be for the Trump family, right?
You think they're able to do it after the election, though? Let's say he wins. Will it not be seen as profiting from the election? Maybe he's not even able to do this after the election. Remember, most of them have to give up all commercial rights after they become president.
That's interesting. Thought about
the
window.
Yeah, and if he loses, then there's probably no opportunity there anyway. I think now is maybe the only time to do it.
Yeah, no, you're convincing me. So
What's the
I have to log in and go to the yes side of this? $1 million bet.
Trump involvement, Tyler? Here, I mean, obviously Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Web3 ambassadors. Direct evidence emerges that Donald Trump was involved in the deployment. Is him endorsing? Is that? I mean, I feel like this is one that there could be dispute on both sides. Semantic arguments as to whether or not this is a yes or no, because I could make I can see the argument being made for betting no here as well.
Yeah, I think that's the challenge with this one is the potential dispute and what does involved in the deployment actually mean. I'm actually surprised there's not more context in this one. I'll be curious if that gets added. That's going to be something to watch pretty closely if you are in this bet. But so I mean, Barron Trump is listed as the DeFi visionary. He's probably not the dev, actually deploying the token. So, like, would you think this resolves to yes for him? Like, if this was a will Barron Trump launch a coin for the election,
that's interesting. I think it'd be different. I think it'd be higher to yes. I mean, given that his name is literally stamped on the project as whatever you said it was, ambassador, right? DeFi ambassador. That feels more connected to the launch of the token. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. Like I said, I think there's a semantic argument to be made on either side. But I right now, I would be leaning betting no here. Like, I think there's a pretty strong, fight you could build for Trump himself not having anything to do with the deployment of the token.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to be involved. I don't know why Trump would get himself involved in this, basically, but I can see the family.
So I'm sharing him in the screen now for those following along. He does have an official title in the project, Chief Crypto Advocate. So he is listed.
Okay.
So that's an important detail.
Yeah, that is.
He is tied to this. He's the chief crypto advocate for the project. So I don't know. There's certainly some gray area on this one.
What's the compelling? I mean, so that's indicated there. I mean, is that it says you need compelling evidence, conclusive, definitive evidence emerges that Donald Trump was involved in the deployment of the token. Is just listed with some random ass whatever title. Is that conclusive, definitive evidence?
The spirit of this bet is will Donald Trump be tied to a cryptocurrency that launches before the election? Right. That is the spirit of this bet.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
He's listed as on the project page for this, and he's been tweeting about it. So it's not like some random project is just listing him. So he has been endorsing it. So I don't know. I think it's pretty clear he is tied to this. So to me, the bet is, do you think it's going to actually launch in the next 2 months? I don't know. It seems like there's a good chance it will. Certainly is going to be a fun one to follow. And just other quick prediction market news. So Blast, Predict.fun did officially launch. It missed yesterday's cutoff date. I believe it went live this morning. Just a handful of markets. So they've got the presidential election winner. It's got 200,000 in volume. Popular vote with just 1,700, I'm seeing. Will Kamala Harris drop out of the presidential race for some reason? Is the number 3 bet here. Will Bitcoin reach 63K? Will Sol reach certain price targets? And then what's the highest price ETH? So they've got bets on the 3 crypto major price action with some pretty limited volume, and then the primary election markets. I've got some thoughts. Logie, I'll toss it to you. Any too early reactions here to the Predict.fun launch?
Boring. Yeah. That's when I loaded this. That's what I thought. I said on the show yesterday, I was eager to see which markets it came out with. If it just kind of cut and paste the markets that were available on Polymarket. I understand to a degree why some of those need to be there. They're kind of prerequisites for being live. But there's nothing really here. Plus, we also discuss, VPN requirements, yes or no. Those still exist. So some of those barriers to entry still present. Again, I understand them, but it's just something that could have improved potential onboarding and bringing more users. Of course, I don't know, man. I'm not overly curious or excited at this point in time. I'm not going to be shifting my action from Polymarket to Predict just based on those markets that are present, right now as it stands in the first 12 hours. I'm not ready to write it off, but not hopping over just right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can't see everything because I'm not logged in currently, but I'm not seeing any order books. So I don't even see like how deep this will Kamala Harris drop out of the presidential race market is. It's got $10,000 bet on it, making it the number 2 or 3 bet on their platform right now. I guess this is where the native yield comes in. It's like if you can get this at 97% no, you get 3% yield, assuming she doesn't drop out, plus the native yield on. So I guess that perhaps is the upside. I don't know. In general, I think if you're going to come out with a new prediction market, you got to have some fun differentiating features, or throw out fun. You got to have some differentiating features from Polymarket, and just kind of come. This feels just like here's some big Polymarket lines, and we're going to slap our native yield and some blast incentives on top of it. So I don't know. I was a little underwhelmed by the launch, if I'm being totally honest. But we will see. It's early. Only a handful of bets on the platform, but like, are you bridging to Blast? Are you itching to, after the show, start sending some USDC over to get into this market, or are you going to wait and see? I feel like I'm not seeing this does not make me want to fire up, some bridge and get money onto this platform.
Yeah, I'm with you. I happen to have a tab up on a different computer with a VPN, and I can see the order book depth once you're I have to go through the onboarding to get back to it. So I don't know what it is at this point in time. It's a couple steps I'd still need to do, but I could see it out of just small. So
we'll certainly see that was a piece of news. So actually quite a busy day in protocol news yesterday. I'll go around the horn on some of these. So Blast announced the mobile Big Bang competition, $250,000 in funding, one-on-one office hours with Pac-Man himself, access to investors, and then 1 million Blast gold per team winner in that boot camp. We saw Abstract founder Luca Netz. He shared his thoughts on consumer crypto, what it will take to reach the masses in a recent blog post. Arbitrum introduced Stylus, which I want to say is a kind of a new interoperable coding environment for any languages to be compiled down to WASM. Avalanche announced a new major upgrade to Avalanche 9000, unlocking, and I'm quoting here, an expansive world of purpose-built blockchains, making it more economical and easier to customize building on top of Avalanche. And then Samsung announced support for StarTile in its mission to make Web3 more accessible globally, along with participation in Sony's Sonium Spark incubation program. So now Samsung and Sony both throwing their hats into the Web3 ring pretty deeply. Logie, I know you were following some of these stories. What jumps out to you here from that quick list?
The Avalanche stuff. Previously not super involved with things on Avalanche. Did a little bit of the Wolf game on Avalanche, if you remember that. The DeFi Kingdom stuff on Avalanche for a brief period of time. The Arena, small things like that, right? But by and large, haven't been a super active AVAX user. Never really owned any of the coins outside of some use for those particular use cases. But the stuff that keeps coming out is intriguing. You remember the California DMV news from a few weeks ago. There's the ticket news with the protocols. I mean, they've done an excellent job, it seems, at materializing real world partnerships. And I'm not the technical person to answer for why Avalanche 9000 is such a massive upgrade. But it creates more opportunity for these big institutions, if you want to call them institutions, to continue to build on Avalanche. And as I was reading through that, I sent a quote to you this morning as well. At the bottom of the blog, it's not indicated exactly what the rewards will be, but we spent a lot of time talking about L2s fighting for developers and rewarding them. Avalanche has already indicated that it's going to be rewarding early testnet developers for Avalanche 9000. Again, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that materializes as, but just a lot of like little things stacking up. This was an exciting thing for me. I actually considered, creating a small AVAX dollar cost average, recurring buy yesterday. I did not actually go through it, but it's intriguing to me. A lot of stuff seems to be happening there. I just don't know enough about the participation, which, I just haven't done too much of.
I feel like AVAX is, it's an interesting potential trade here, right? It's a leading L1. They've got a lot going on, clearly trying to build some momentum. They've dabbled in SocialFi. They had a bit of a meme coin ecosystem. NFTs never really took off. We saw that the token kind of traded as a soul beta, I want to say, when Solana ran to about 240. That's roughly when AVAX made its big run up to 60. It's now back down 67% to 21. Now up just about 100% on the year. Is this an interesting comeback trade if L1s do indeed come back? I don't know. It's one to have on the list. And then we've got Luca coming after the L2 market with Abstract. He went through the blog. It's a 10-minute read. I won't go into it in detail. I thought this was interesting as it just shed a little bit more light of how he's thinking about consumer crypto, which is now a big buzzword, or just about reaching retail and his plans for Abstract. And he does go into a little bit more detail, at least a high-level roadmap of how they plan to accomplish it. First, going after discretionary spending for users such as gaming, SocialFi, that type of thing, then getting into necessary aspects like payments, and then getting into essentials. And as you go through this, he kind of talks about how he feels like a lot of where previous teams, builders have perhaps fallen down is by going through the opposite approach, kind of going with starting with payments, going into DeFi, and then trying to build consumer apps last. He's trying to flip the script and go the opposite way. So that is the the vision. He's calling, this core idea, building a digital Disneyland around that discretionary spending circle here of the pie, and then expanding out from there. And then he lays out how he sees Abstract pulling that off. So Logie, I'll throw this back to you. Not sure if you read through this. It was a little lengthy, but I thought it was a good read. Any reactions to this one? I feel like it did kind of peel back at least one layer of the Abstract onion and what he's got planned. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but curious if you had reactions to this one.
Yeah, I didn't read through this, but I'm fully on board with that unpeeling of the onion, at least in that order. I think with the participants that are here, leading with things like gaming, I think he had gambling, right? Those types of things as your kind of first step. Create a foundation, a blockchain where people are actually using it. There's actually users there. There's money flowing there. That makes a ton of sense to me, at least in terms of the active participants. Just the big money is in those other things, right? The payments, the DeFi type stuff. I think it's just gonna be really difficult to get there. I applaud this approach. I think this is really great, particularly for an active Web3 user, like for somebody who's just on the ground that, isn't the big institutional online bank or whatever, right? This sounds great. They're going to be focusing on me. They're going to be, creating incentives for me as a user. That's awesome. I'm excited about that. Still just don't know what those games, what those different applications on this chain are going to be, and if they're going to be enough to pull me, away from the already established. It's the same issue we've had with Polymarket versus Predict. Like, is there going to be enough incentive for me to come to Abstract? Is the app going to be good enough for me to come to Abstract when I can just do it elsewhere?
Yeah, that's the $1 billion question. Yeah, go ahead, Mando. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that take. I feel like even when we talked about AVAX just then, like I quickly brought up token terminals, seeing like how many fees AVAX makes, and it's not even in like the top. It's not even on the graph. You know what I mean? I think a lot of blockchains are having this sort of issue. Like, they understand what they maybe need to go after, and they have like buzzwords for like the broad things that they need to go after, like deep in gaming, memes, let's say. But like that, just identifying them isn't the right thing. And you also have to, as we've said, like crypto feels increasingly PvP, to get people in is difficult. I don't know what takes current crypto users to a new chain other than a much cleaner UI UX sort of experience. I feel like you have that with Solana, like with Phantom, and just with the way that it's built with the various different dApps. Like, it's a very clean sort of experience. I think it's gonna take a lot to like drag people to a new L2. That's just my gut. Now, there may be other things, like it feels as though some people are looking to like onboard SVM as well as EVM at the same time. I think consumer crypto has found a home kind of in Solana, just in terms of that UI UX, and maybe on ETH-L1 for like DeFi stuff, or L2s for like purely for maybe larger DeFi plays, or when you want to play with maybe more security. But for some of these sort of consumer crypto apps, they haven't necessarily onboarded tons of people on ETH, have they?
Sure, I would agree.
And you have to be able to do more than.
This feels like a good read, and he's definitely got a scope of what you need to do, but I don't know. It's not
an easy vision to pull off. Let's say that. Just real quick, I'll come back to your thoughts in a second, Logan. I want to remind our listeners, we are going to go with those rollbit spins here in about 10 minutes. It's a new process. If you haven't already, if you joined us mid-show, go to rafflebot.xyz, sign in with your X credentials, and then enter today's code. That code is rollbit45. Logie, back to you for some last thoughts before we move on here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the small periods of time where we have seen users, and it's not a huge quantity of users, but users flock to a new blockchain has been with viral apps. Think Friend Tech, think, if you want to call Fantasy Top, put that in that category, NBA Top Shot, right? I think that's right. I think Pac-Man's comments yesterday about for the mobile Big Bang, like virality in a mobile app will potentially bring people there, but you have to be able to do it in more than one app. If you want the blockchain to succeed, right? The entire blockchain. I mean, this is a huge ecosystem that Luca is trying to build. Ambitious plans, hats off to them for doing so, but it's got to be more than one if you want to be successful long-term. So that's the part that I'm still like, I don't see a blockchain at present time outside of Solana, outside of, of course, Ethereum, with more than one reason to go there. And you got to give me more than one at this point in time, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle for sure. Because we have Solana has captured retail with meme coins, but they also have a lot of these other types of apps being built on there as well. So coming after Solana is not going to be easy, but the rewards are big if you're able to pull it off. Folks, we've got a few minutes left before Rollbit spins. A couple NFT stories I did want to hit on first. So Raktoshi shocked the Bitcoin world yesterday, or at least the Ordinals world, with this tweet saying, I was a co-founder of Ordinals. I've never said that publicly, and to my knowledge, nobody else has either, but it's true. He goes on to talk about how he was working on NFTs on Bitcoin, how he teamed up with Casey to do this. He goes on to effectively admit that after the mainnet launch, he inscribed Ordinals himself to create the illusion of more interest than was actually there, hoping to keep Casey and Raph motivated, and that he lied to them when they asked him if he actually did it or not. And he said no. That he left in March 2023, which is before the big run. That's even before the big 2023 run. So 2023, what had the peak with Bitcoin DeGods probably, and then they cooled off. Oh, and what was in 12-fold Bitcoin DeGods were the peak of 2023 Ordinals hype. Cooled off for 8, then Q1 rally. Pretty big bombshell from Raktoshi. I woke up and checked the Node Monkey. So he is the founder of Node Monkeys. No market response at all. In fact, down 2% on the day with cheaper Bitcoin. Not great. So Logie, if finding out that your project founder co-created Ordinals doesn't move the needle for your collection, what does?
Nothing, man. I'm surprised to see a red number here. Even if it was slightly greens, almost neutral, would have been obviously been better. This to me adds a little bit. We've made those comparisons, Node Monkeys to CryptoPunks, right? Like this to me almost adds to the parallel a little bit, right? Like Matt and John were early Ethereum creators, innovators. Raktoshi, early Bitcoin Ordinals, like very early, right? Bitcoin Ordinals innovator. No, I guess the market's just not seeing it that way, or things over there are just so depressed that lore, that bullet point is just not ready, right? The market's not ready to absorb that. So a little surprising. I maybe would have left some of the parts out from that. Whatever you want to call it. Maybe the part about
it was a confession more than it was
the inscribing and then lying about the inscriptions to drive more hype. I mean, if you remember, Node Monkeys had all sorts of like little FUD points at the very, very beginning, sort of in that vein. Not that same thing, but that was a little odd to include that. But yeah, maybe pulling back the veil, transparency appreciated. I expected that this would make more of a dent. It did not. It is not Ordinals / Runes fall, at least not yet.
This is a rough price chart on the Node Monkeys. They effectively are trading lower than in December 2023 and are effectively at yearly lows, a few slight dips below this level, but 0.11 Bitcoin cheaper than it was here during in March. So in USD terms, the chart is even worse. I wonder. So I think there's also rumors that Raktoshi is tied to RSIC. So I wonder if this will provide perhaps more speculation to those.
At this point, I'm hoping not.
Yeah, is it good or bad?
Was Casey behind any Ordinals project?
I don't think so.
No.
I think there was. Oh, he did. There was speculation he was going to launch a runes. I forget if he actually was tied to a runes or not, but I don't believe he was tied to any Ordinals collections.
Okay. Yeah, I just don't know. Like if the creator of Ordinals really changes anything, but it's just, I guess it's more information. That's why I basically was wondering, like, if Casey brought out a project, would it? I guess it would maybe be slightly stronger. I just don't even know. Like Raktoshi feels like a. Did you read what he said as well? It sounded a bit like, oh yeah, I was there. I was on the calls. He did all the code, but I was on the calls. So,
not super deep.
I would put this on a Casey did 80% of the work, and maybe everyone else chipped in for 5. I don't know.
Yeah, that feels like a fair assessment. I do think if Casey was tied to one of these collections anonymously, and that news came out, I do think it would probably move a bit. But man, I don't know. It's hard to. It's looking rough out in Ordinals world. I guess shout out to Quantum Cats and Pizza Ninjas seem to be the two holding up the best. I mean, OMB certainly as well, but it's down much more from peak than these other collections. Pizza Ninjas are kind of trading at all-time high, but they are at a much smaller collection. Well, this was not the only NFT story of the day. In somewhat more negative news, the Jenkins Valet team, Blake Chaston, he came out and said effectively they are closing shop. Logan, I actually didn't read his full blog on this. Did he announce that he's effectively shifting focus to another NFT project or just another crypto project in general? What was the word here?
No, not NFT. I'm gonna mess up trying to replicate the exact word that he shared here, but working on Avenue, Avenue, which I actually think is super cool. By the way, it's kind of like my understanding is sort of like a choose your own adventure type thing for kids, but that's where he's shifting focus is to children's. Again, I don't know the right word to characterize it, but basically allowing kids to build these stories, which of course isn't like a super drastic shift in direction in terms of what they were looking to build, kind of like this decentralized creative endeavor, right? Using people to build stories, communities to build stories, that type of thing, I think is super cool and interesting. And so I actually think Avenue is interesting, but if you were a participant in Bored and Dangerous or Azerbaijan or Writer's Room, this, effectively ends all further push forward. If you were still hoping for anything, this is kind of the cease for everything. So I understand the disappointment. I mean, pitchforks were out, not in an overwhelming way. I didn't see a whole lot on my timeline. I saw, of course, that post. I think I saw Beanie, a post or two, but I also saw a post defending. G-Funk was out defending. There may have been some others as well, just talking about how difficult it is to build. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot for anyone. Like the holders were already down tremendously at this point in time. But it is going to probably be a storyline that transpires one or two more times or more for some of those big 2021 projects that people were, heavily financially and perhaps emotionally invested in.
Of course. And it's a complex topic. We could spend 30 minutes on it. I'm not going to spend time on some of the claims of the money they raised because I've seen conflicting stories there. But the reality is people don't have to run NFT projects forever. And it doesn't really seem like they found a whole lot of that with, some of these products that they gave it a good shot. And they're calling it quits and going after something new. So wish them good luck with their new pursuits. With that, with that, I think that is a roundup of our stories here today, folks. It is time. It is time for our Rollbit spins. One last chance to get into this while we get Sims up here with us, folks. If you haven't already, go to rafflebot.xyz, sign in with your X credentials, and then enter today's code Rollbit45. Sims, I'll throw it over to you. We ready?
Yeah, we've this is a new one, so bear with us while we put it into test on live. We have given it a go in the back, and it should be all good. So let me just knock this off here. Share this on here. Now, in theory, if we're doing it all right, we will be able to give it a quick refresh. And come on, there we go. Right. 2 winners. Let's go. Number 1, that'll be Ice Tree Beth. I'm going to screenshot that in case it knocks it off, just for the sake.
Ice Tree Beth.
Ice Tree Beth, please request on space if you are here. It doesn't matter too much because we're now tracking the winners within this. And the second winner will be Wallace Liu. Ice Tree Beth and Wallace Liu. If you are in the space, please request. If not, we can go without you because we are just going to track these ones for today. It might become a thing that we start. You have to be responsive up on here if we still manage to get some bots coming through. For today, we're just going to go with the winners that are on screen. And they will be receiving it. Regardless, I got Wallace and I got Beth. Yes, both of them have requested. Give me 1 second. I'll bring them both up.
Good start for the new raffle bot.
Right. I'll leave you to it, Tyler, and bring Burn up for the spins.
All right, Burn Dog, come on, get us up here. So who do we got first? Do we have Beth? Bethany going
first one here? Will be Beth. Beth, you there? They're muted, but they did put a little sign up. There we go. All right. Take it away then, Burn. Give us a spin.
All right, here we go. And we are...
Oh, is it for us? Is it spinning?
Are we spinning?
Oh, we're spinning. Are we not? Come on, Burn. It's checking. It's working.
Here we go.
Oh, spot it.
Oh, and it's a Bored Ape. Wow.
35 grand.
$35,000 win for Bethany. This, folks, I don't know our exact streak. I think we've hit rec guys on like something like 10, maybe 20 straight spins. We were due. And wow, a Bored Ape. That was a nice one.
That was a nice
ape.
Congratulations. That is huge. Holy
Definitely,
shit.
The team will reach out to you after the show. Wow.
Okay, big win.
It's gonna be a tough act to follow, Burn. What do we have for our friend Wallace?
All right, then roll it.
What the fuck?
Congrats, Beth.
Let's see if we can match it. Ooh, red guy.
And it's a rec guy for Wallace here. Still a nice $1,900. That's a nice looking rec guy. So still a nice win here on a Wednesday morning for Wallace. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right. Wallace can barely contain his excitement after the win. Folks, what a way to end the show there. Our first major Rollbit win in weeks. I'm still in shock. So Beth, what a day. 35K win. Folks, it was a fun show. Thank you for joining us here. That is going to be it for today's episode of FOMO Hour. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday, to recap all of today's action. Until then, have a great Wednesday. Go make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.